How high can the Arizona Cardinals defense fly under Nick Rallis with all the additions in 2025? Can't wait. And another sophomore jump we're going to predict, Johnny Venerable.
Plus, Trey Hendrickson appears poised to miss games if Cincinnati doesn't pay out big money. Is now the time to strike for the Arizona Cardinals? PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. It was a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack. Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. We appreciate everybody jumping in for the show. And we're going to kick things off with a very generous $50 super chat from diehard friend of the program, part of the program in our community, Shaft, who unfortunately lost his dog roughly an hour ago. This is from Shaft Bo. Coco, my 15-year-old, loved to lay under my desk every day listening to the show with me. He was the smartest dog I've ever had. He loved watching the Cardinal games with me. Coco loved the Cardinals, and I'm going to miss him dearly. And then he and Coco predicting a 12-5 record for the Cardinals. So Shaft, prayers up to you and your family after losing your toy poodle, Coco. We appreciate you, and we're so sorry for your loss.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Condolences to you, dogs, man. Of course, man's best friend, loyal, companion through so many things. And we're just sending you the best wishes to you and your family, man. It's we are going to add Coco to the we're going to raise his jersey to the rafters today as one of the goodest boys and taking a walk over Rainbow Bridge. Our guy Shaft, man, our heavy hearts go out to you, man, on this the somber start to the show, but necessary because we really are thinking about you and your fam.
We're a community here. I just lost, coincidentally, my 15-year-old Yorkie this past month. Bo's lost a dog within the last year or so. So it is tough, but we're here for you, brother. We appreciate you nonetheless. We appreciate all 121 watching live. Drop us a like here on a football Thursday, fresh off OTAs yesterday, still going with the Arizona Cardinals. Bo, you were out there yesterday, and on display were top picks, Walter Nolen to some degree, and of course, Will Johnson and Josh Sweat. We're going to see him, we assume, at training camp. Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell. It does feel like, last year at this time, there was so much momentum around the Cardinals offense, rightfully so. Marv and Kyler for a full year and Trey. And it was just it felt very different. And the defense was almost just like, hey, guys, just don't screw things up while we take care of this. Now it's like, hey, defense, feels like if we're going to win the NFC West, you guys have to be a dominant unit. The stark contrast of maybe the identity of this team has seemingly shifted in one offseason.
Yeah, and those are things that you thought that you had to kind of fight the misconceptions of having a defensive-minded coach, right? I mean, Jonathan Gannon wanted to be the kind of the CEO, the master delegator of this organization, and he's absolutely all of that, but also has a very impressive defensive background, like his last stop as a DC, 70 sacks, Super Bowl appearance, just a suffocating defense for the Philadelphia Eagles that kind of was the precursor to this past Super Bowl winning team. I think that, you can't avoid it. Like, that's what Jonathan Gannon wants to have kind of the calling card for his team, even though they are certainly rich with offensive talent. But now in year 3, after the defense really kind of wearing it, along with defensive coordinator Nick Rallis, and trying to keep that side of the football head above water while keeping up with these high-flying offenses in the NFL, now he gets an opportunity with some top tier personnel, in our opinion, in a lot of people's opinion, to kind of make a name for himself in this league and potentially get Nick Rallis some interviews as for head coaching positions next year.
Yeah, it feels like this defense is on a collision course with being a historic unit for this franchise during the post Bruce Arians era. Like outside of with all due respect to Vance Joseph, who I think is a good man and a solid coordinator, those defenses with the Arizona Cardinals were never dominant. I think they had flashes of a really good play, but they never put together full seasons of like, this is the marquee unit of this team, right? Steve Wilkes wasn't here long enough, proved to be maybe in over his head as a head coach. And so now it's like, okay, year 3, you should have a dominant defense because you've got a defensive head coach who does a tremendous job in empowering his staff. And you've got I remember 3 years ago, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they hired Rallis. I was in Disneyland with my family. I was on the carousel with my daughter, and I got a text message, and they said, I can't believe they got Nick Rallis to leave Philadelphia. And that told me everything I needed to know about Jonathan Gannon, because it was Gannon's first choice to get Nick Rallis. Remember, there was talk of like, he's going to hire Mike Zimmer, and it's going to be older guys be the coordinators, and he'll be a specialist. No. It was like, this is who he wanted, and he courted him from Philly because he was the heir apparent to JG. He's like, no, I'm going to come be my guy JG's defensive coordinator in Philadelphia. I'm going to tell you right now, you guys can probably put 2 and 2 together. It's a big reason why Howie Roseman, everybody was super pissy when it came to how Monti Ossenfort was able to hire Jonathan Gannon, because they got Nick Rallis as a part of the deal. And I don't know for certain if it impacted the package that the Cardinals had to then ship to Philadelphia, keep their mouths shut and appease the NFL. But it was like the Cardinals got the better of that deal. I don't care what happens with Vic Fangio, that clearly they didn't have a contingency plan in place last year. They fired their coordinator midseason. Rallis, to me, is the best coordinator they've had on either side of the ball since Todd Bowles. And this year, he is going to be on everybody's short list. And we're going to be sitting here in October, and we're going to probably be counting our day. In my opinion, I think we're going to be counting our days till Nick Rallis is a head coach.
Yeah, it's going to be bittersweet when you see him get the opportunities and probably inevitably the reins of an NFL franchise, because he's a leader of men, and he's a bright up and coming mind as far as defensive X's and O's in play calling. And the Arizona Cardinals were able to kind of get in on the ground level because of the relationship he has with Jonathan Gannon that they developed in Minnesota and carried on throughout their days in Philly, where he was his linebacker coach. And I think Denver was even in on Rallis. Weren't they reportedly in on Rallis, wanted to interview him as well? But, he wanted to continue to be loyal to Gannon and see this through. And, even though Howie Roseman tattled to the NFL, even though the Eagles, were up to no good as each and every offseason are not without sin as far as the NFL goes, they were upset about it, because I think they understood that they had a future all-star coach leaving their organization, and they had to make do with, the just revolving door at that position the next season. And then they, lucked into Fangio working his way out of Miami. They also got a lot of luck as far as Jalen Carter, in a sense, falling to 10 and them just being able to make that selection be, the game changer that they needed up front.
Yeah, to me, it goes down to, with the Arizona Cardinals' identity is going to be Kyler Murray offensively while Kyler Murray's here. Like that, Kyler Murray is the Cardinal offense, right? And he's got a tremendous group of skill players to hopefully branch out and be a better player this year than last year. But I do think we're courting with the idea of the Cardinals' identity as a team being a defensive team. So much so that Bill Barnwell, who does good work, albeit for ESPN, he does good work over at the Worldwide Leader, put together an article basically breaking down the biggest adjustments this offseason and where kind of the tea leaves are trending within the NFL landscape. He picked the Cardinals to have basically the biggest jump for one singular unit in the NFC West, right? He thought the Rams were going to go coupon clipping, and they're putting a lot on young players defensively. And, the unknown is Sam Darnold with regard to the Seahawks. But here's what Bill Barnwell had to say via ESPN about the Cardinals' jump defensively. Let's see it. Here it is. Most likely to make a leap on defense. If an NFL defense could be critically acclaimed without actually playing all that well, it would be the 2023-2024 Cardinals. Film nerds have loved watching JG vary his looks. Safety Budda Baker seems to be on a quest to touch every possible blade of grass on an NFL field before he retires. Garrett Williams has evolved into one of the best slot corners in the league. The problem is the Cardinals really didn't have juice up front. Where have you heard that before? They were hoping for a breakout year 2 for Ojulari, who missed the entire season because of a torn ACL. They traded for Baron Browning midseason. He was only a part-time contributor. Gannon mixed in defensive backs as pass rushers, good hell, to try to create protection problems for teams. But Arizona's rush for front 7 players at opposing quarterbacks at just 28.6% pressure rate, which was 26th in the league. However, they got better as the season went on. They finished 20th in points allowed per drive and 21st in EPA per play allowed. But how about this? It's the second portion. They didn't want to settle for critically acclaimed in 2025. They added star power. In addition to re-signing Browning, they get Ojulari back. Ossenfort added Josh Sweat. The interior defensive line should be much improved with Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell. Ossenfort then used his top 4 draft picks on defensive players. He outlines Walter Nolen. And then talks about, of course, Will Johnson joins one of the league's youngest defensive cornerback rooms. And while Williams and Max Melton have some tackling issues, Gannon has done a good job of bringing them along so far. The Cardinals ranked, and here it is, 9th in EPA per play on offense a year ago, putting them ahead of 7 playoff teams, including the Rams. If Gannon and his new defense can just propel the defense a tiny bit forward, Arizona should have a real shot at competing for the NFC West crown and making it back into the postseason. And we saw last year, all the advanced metrics really liked the Cardinals offense. They just didn't do enough on the field. And I think the Cardinals defense was the opposite. Nobody loved the Cardinals metrics defensively. It was ugly. But then you look up and they would give up 17 points and you're like, they did enough to win.
Yeah, I mean, the key there was how they finished, even though some of the games, the results, they weren't what you wanted. That Carolina game, I think, was luckily kind of the outlier of an overall strong finish for this group. But it's the trends that you want to follow, and it's the proof that it's well coached. Mm-hmm. And now with improved personnel, you're going to see the Cardinals make guys like Bill Barnwell and Nate Tice, who are all picking this Arizona Cardinals defense to be a breakout as a unit in 2025. And it's something that we've been talking about a long time on this show. And we'll puff our chest out on that. But I think that it gives credence to that. People should feel confident that with better players and good coaching already in place, the Arizona Cardinals defense is very capable of being a menace to their division and their entire schedule next season.
Well, I mean, what is, in your opinion, the biggest culprit for holding this defense back? If we look at this defense and we're sitting here and it's the last quarter of the season and they're like, man, they really underachieved this year.
Still, I think it remains what it was last year. It remains, can they generate enough pressure? Can they get that true pressure? We're not talking about, hey, look at the hurries. Look at the hurry statistics. If you're not seeing, it result in sacks and poorly thrown footballs, I think that it's all just kind of painting a certain picture, kind of puffing up the picture a little bit. If you're going to understand or you realize what the difference between trying to look at the next level analytics and what it actual statistics and pressure and a good defense looks like. You don't have to kind of tweak some things and find an avenue that paints this picture that the Cardinals were a decent defense, and they had this bend, don't break mentality. They're going to be, I think they have the type of personnel that's undeniable. And if they don't, tap into that, I think that there will be a certain, what went wrong and trying to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there's no chance in hell that the front 4 rush of just the 4 collective 2 DNs, 2 D tackles is not going to be improved. However, I do think, to your point, let's say Josh Sweat is middling this year off a big contract in the Super Bowl. I'm not projecting that. I'm just saying worst case scenario, you get maybe 7 or 8 sacks, right? 7 sacks, I'll say. And then you get nothing from that other side. And Baron Browning's a bust, and the rookies aren't ready. You know, Ja'Lari's hurt again. And it's like that to me, that could be a problem. But I still think you've so much talent. Walter Nolen and Darius Robinson are projected right now, depending on who you talk to, it's like, are they the third and fourth option behind Calais and Dalvin Tomlinson? Like that, those 4 players you did not have last year, even with Darius being injured. Like those are 4 new defensive tackles that can all get after the quarterback. That alone should help you by default. And then we talk about it. It's like, what happens if they get better off-ball linebacker play? With all due respect to Kazir White, and what happens if Will Johnson is a significant upgrade over Sean Murphy-Bunting, and Max Melton and Garrett Williams take the next step and they're able to cover a half second longer? I just, based on the teams that they play, Bo, I just don't see this defense regressing. I think it's going to be one of the locks of the NFL season. I mean, the Cardinals were like 15th, 13th in points per game, and they played a ton of quality quarterbacks in difficult situations. They had to play Jordan Love in Green Bay when Jordan Love came back from injury. They didn't get, what's his name? The backup from Marshall, right? They got Sam Darnold when he was playing his best football. They, of course, had to play Josh Allen. They had to play Jaden Daniels when he was cooking. They had to play the best quarterbacks in the NFC and the MVP of the league last year. And the best offense in Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. That's not on their schedule this year. Their toughest games, sans Joe Burrow and Cincinnati, it is in division. And the Cardinals defense played its best football, you could argue, in the NFC West last year. So you're telling me like the excess games where they could rack up numbers playing the AFC and NFC South? Like I don't come in here and make like brash statements, 5 months, 4 months before the season starts. But again, I would be shocked beyond belief if you could make a bet right now that the Cardinals could have a top 10 defense, unequivocally put money in the bank to do it.
Yeah, look, and then the opportunity is going to be right there out of the gates. They're going to go up against some inexperienced quarterbacks right away. Week 1, you're going to face Tyler Shuck. I don't care like how old he is as a rookie. I don't think that's a positive thing that he's going to be 26 in September. He hasn't faced any NFL caliber defenses his entire lengthy collegiate career. And then you got Spencer Rattler, who just was not an impactful quarterback last season. You got Carolina. We'll see what, San Francisco's offense is looking like come week 3. You've got the debacle that is the Colts quarterback room within your first 6 weeks. There's just lots of opportunities for this defense to really kind of clamp down and suffocate opposing offenses. It's going to be there. And then you hope that trends and they can parlay that into the tougher stretches of the season. But, you can always hang your hat on that the depth that's finally there. And then also the coaching, the scheme. Like those are 2 things that I think the Arizona Cardinals haven't had the luxury of having, in outside of recent history as far as the coaching staff. And then most like really recently haven't had the personnel that's capable of doing that, especially up front. I mean, we're talking about guys who other teams are going to come and make waiver claims on or scoop up quickly that aren't going to make this roster. So if you look at your, let's say 6 players up front, it's Calais, it's Dalvin, it's Walter Nolen, it's Darius Robinson, and then you figure out, Dante Stills, Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols. Like you've got a severe numbers crunch there, but guys who are well beyond from serviceable to big time impact makers up front. And then hopefully that creates opportunities for the guys coming off the edge. And then, of course, opportunities at the back end. I just think that this is a very well-built defense that's going to be able to get off the football field more so than you've seen, last 2 seasons.
It just, to me, has the makings of the identity of this team this year. And if the offense can pick up the slack and put up crooked numbers and play complimentary football, I'm all for it. But if you're Kyler Murray, it's like I can take more chances this year, but I also know that there are going to be times through 2 or 3 quarters of play when this defense isn't giving up touchdowns, and it's like we probably are going to just need to settle for field goals, and that's going to drive me nuts. But we saw last year They played conservative against the Chargers, and it lended them well. They ran the football almost exclusively against the Chicago Bears. Like, I understand that, and you can get away with that. Like, if they come out against New Orleans has no shot in scoring. Like, Kyler Murray doesn't need to throw the ball 40 times that game. It's the games in which we know the defense, is going to be complemented by a strong opposing defense. Let's say in the LA Rams or the Seattle Seahawks. That's when you need K1 to take that next step and make those plays. And I just feel like the fact that the Cardinals were almost allergic to turnovers these first 2 years, because what happens? Why do turnovers happen? It's because of disruption and uncomfort within the opposing offense. Like, you're doing something to make me uncomfortable. The Cardinals have not had anybody to do that. Like, honestly, the interceptions that they've had were just outstanding plays by Garrett Williams and Sean Murphy-Bunting last year of just snatching the football in thin air. Like, you think about the game that they secured against San Francisco in Santa Clara last year. Why was that so significant? Because it was one of the few batted balls they had all year, and it was Kazir White picking that ball off, right? So we know these guys on the back end can do it, but how many times it's like, strip sacks, errant throws, negative plays. We have not seen any of that. I mean, to have 8 wins and not have a defensive touchdown has to be the first time that's happened in forever in the NFL.
Like Shuck, Rattler, whatever, Bryce Young, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Cam Ward, some combination, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. Like, those are guys, even on their best day, that are pedestrian quarterbacks, signal callers. You ratchet up the pressure, make them uncomfortable, there's going to be some poorly thrown footballs out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to be the recipe. Like what Barnwell says, like what JG, what Rallis, what the game plan is, rush 4, create and generate pressure that way. They had to get exotic as far as their blitz packages last year just to try to overcome some deficiencies they had roster-wise, especially up front. So they don't have that any longer. They certainly have a deep well of guys who can generate pressure interior-wise, and then we'll see what they can do outside. And a lot has to go right there. I mean, I think with Sweat, the deal he got, I know people were a little skeptical. Like, can he continue to produce at this level? Cardinals certainly are confident in that. And then you're relying on still on some unknowns. Like your top pass rush selection in Jordan Birch is a guy that you don't know too much about how his game's going to translate to the next level. BJ Ojulari's coming off an ACL tear. And then Zaven Collins, I think we know what Zaven Collins is, and he brings versatility to the position, but does he bring the ability to really ratchet up pressure? I think people would say no. So I think it's that unit that's going to benefit from interior, but still have a lot to prove.
Who do you think has the most to gain for this defense this year? Singular player. Like, you'd pick BJ Ojulari to lead the team in sacks. Your bold prediction, right? You're not taking that at face value. Which individual player has the most to gain this year for this defense?
I mean, I'd like to say guys in the secondary that are going to see a lot of, tipped footballs and poorly thrown footballs that are going to finally get their hands on it. Man.
Putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, Garrett Williams is just one of those guys that is flown on the radar. And I think he's got the skill set, and he's just on the right trajectory to where he's going to take off in 2025.
Either him, or I like what the chat says, like Darius. Darius is a starter. Darius comes in. Think about like Darius last year as a rookie playing with what he had. Now Darius is going to look around. It's like, hey, Josh Sweat and Calais Campbell are bookending me right now. Like that was, you were bookended by Bilal Nichols respectfully and Dennis Gardeck. It's a little different reality for Darius this year. I think Darius has the most to gain because I think like casual fans are probably like, oh, remember Darius Robinson from last year's draft class? I liked him. Whatever happened to Darius Robinson? They don't know that tragedy struck with his mom and he had an injury that he couldn't battle. He battled through, but he couldn't rebound enough to make an impact. Darius Robinson, if you told me at the end of this year it's like 7 sacks and was a big time player for this team, like you can see that happening because we saw the writing on the wall last year. But I mean, I like the Garrett Williams pick a lot though.
Yeah, and I like the D-Rob one as well. I mean, he's going to benefit from just all the acquisitions they made from free agency to the draft. Comical to me that we just had close to 30 minutes discussion about this defense, and somebody comes into our chat and says we're fanboying over Kyler, and all they do is talk about Kyler. That's all they do is talk about Kyler. But it's us. We're talking about the defense. We're talking about this team. And yeah, we're the ones that are obsessed with Kyler Murray. You come in here and we're talking about the defensive side of the football, and you can't stop talking about how much you dislike Kyler Murray. That's interesting to me.
I wasn't not even locked into that. I listen. Here's what I'll tell you: Kyler Murray, if he makes the playoffs, are you talking about this gentleman in the chat, Mr. Smoke? Here's what I'll tell you. If Kyler Murray makes playoffs this year, regardless of what it looks like, he's signing an extension with this team. So, I think we all think they're winning 10+ games this year. So maybe get comfortable with K1, regardless of how it looks. They go where they want to go and get to January. Kyler Murray's sticking around, and this team is on the right tree. I think this defense alone could get a lot of quarterbacks to the postseason. How about that?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is a roster that they wanted to build, that it's going to be a sustainable, consistent winner. And, you can't be so, reliant upon a single player in a single position. Like the organization understands that. So I think the roster's in place to where, it should be able to move forward regardless of if any of the stars at any of the other positions go down. I think that's obviously a conversation we have maybe closer to training camp, as far as, who are those guys that they could least afford to lose to injury or just miss time. But I mean, I think they've done a good job in adding, so much depth across the board to where you can really manage, even if guys aren't playing at a top level week in and week out.
To me, this defense, when you're Jonathan Gannon, it's not like you don't take ownership of the entire team, because of course he does. This is your baby. This is your side of the ball. You have finally been equipped by this GM to go attack this season and win games with defense. And I just don't see how they drop the ball with that. Are the Bengals dropping the ball? Of course they are, with their continued contract negotiations or lack thereof with Cincinnati Bengals pass rusher Trey Hendrickson. Is now the time to strike? The latest from Jeremy Fowler. It's PHNX Cardinals. Yeah, Cincinnati, not great with their money. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? I'll tell you, you can be great with your money with our friends at Monarch Money right now. Start managing your finances to build the life you want, Bo. Monarch makes managing money simple, even for busy lives. We get it. Everybody's busy with their jobs and their kids and their activities, hobbies, whatever. How about this? With all your accounts, all your credit cards, investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. Track your spending, savings, and investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making your biggest life goals a reality. They were named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, the top recommended personal finance app by users with over, how about this, 30,000 five-star reviews. Check them out right now and get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code, you guessed it, PHNX at monarchmoney.com in your browser for the first half off of the year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Promo code PHNX.
Speaking of money, great place to put it. How about Mountain America Credit Union? Because they're going to give you opportunities to get some perks off while your money's securely in the bank, because they got the My Style checking for your lifestyle over at Mountain America Credit Union, committed to helping you and more than 1 million members, 100 branches throughout the West. Everyone needs a checking account. I mean, it's simple as that, unless you're just putting your money in a tin can and, putting it in your backyard, burying it there for safekeeping. Get the account with built-in benefits. That's not in your backyard. That's not in your freezer. It's Mountain America's My Style checking account. It has perks just for you, like restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and more. Make My Style your lifestyle. Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by the NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Who spends more time talking about Kyler Murray? The people that support Kyler Murray, the haters. I think that's an interesting debate. Who talks about him more?
Okay, we talk about him. I don't know, because he's the flipping quarterback of the team, and everything hovers around him. I love this team. We cover it daily. We're passionate about it. We can't cover this team without directly or indirectly bringing up their quarterback. And if Kyler Murray wasn't their quarterback, we'd be talking about whomever. If Clayton Tune eventually become their quarterback, or they had drafted a guy or whatever, then that person would become the talking point. Well,
Right.
Welcome to the NFL, where it is, guess what? Quarterback dictated, because they make a 30-year salary cap. Not really, but they make like an 8th-year salary cap, because it's nuts, $50 million. So this is probably something that Frozen Smoke, or whatever the hell his name is, her name is, doesn't know, is that we can be critical of this. And then when I see Kyler Murray, when you see Kyler Murray, he will blow his shit for it. And it's all in good fun, because it's like, guess what? This is not the team site. This is not fanboy.com/Cardinals. This is PHNX Cardinals, where we set it straight and we give it to you how we see it. And they finished 2-5 at the end of last year. I said some critical things because it was the time to be critical. But have I really liked what I've seen from Kyler Murray this offseason? Hell yeah. Do I think he's going to be the benefactor of hard work and a supremely gifted team defensively? I do. I think he is going to return to the playoffs for the first time since 2021.
I don't know what you're comfortable with me telling everybody, but
we've had whatever you want.
Multiple conversations now with Kyler.
Tell him whatever you want. I love it.
One before the interview, and Damon was there for this one, when he put 2 and 2 together, who you were, and that you gave him grief on social media, and he pushed back on that. He said, you say some crazy things. I'm paraphrasing. And then you and I were fortunate enough to go to an event that was involved in the celebrity softball game.
Yeah.
And Kyler was very gracious, came up and talked to you, me, and our wives. Mm-hmm. And what did he tell you? What did he tell your lovely wife?
He was dogging on me in front of my spouse, tongue in cheek, that I blew him grief. And my wife was like,
he said, I gave him crap because he gave me grief on social media.
But it was all fun and games. And then he thanked us at the end of our coverage for the softball game. And again, it's like, I think Kyler Murray is very thick-skinned. I think there are a lot of people out there who want to try to label him. I'm going to be careful how I phrase this, because we have a phenomenal PHNX Suns show, but try to label him like adjacent to like NBA players. Mm-hmm. Guys, look at the NBA and look at look at Kevin Durant right now. Won't get off social media. Is that what you want from your play? Kyler Murray is the farthest thing from that. His hobbies are he stays at home and he's with his family and he's too quiet. And some people hate that. It's like you want him to be like Kevin Durant, who's on Twitter, won't get off Twitter. Kyler Murray is like, he's barely on social media. You never hear him out. He's not with Stephon Diggs on that boat with Cardi B or whomever that was. He just keeps to himself. And his teammates love him, and that's all I care about. And he works his ass off. So does he need to play better at the end of the year? Of course. I'm never going to not say that. I'm not going to twist the numbers of 2-5 and say, it's better than the numbers indicated. No, you got to win games. He knows that. So he is the most polarizing athlete for the team in my adult life. And I honestly believe this year will make or break what people perceive him as a Cardinal. If he has a winning record and they make the playoffs, I think all this goes away forever. But if he doesn't, then they have to deal with what comes with that.
I think he's got a good sense of how heavily scrutinized the position is. And he even said this in a press conference last year, like at the quarterback position, sometimes you get too much credit. Like if your football team's winning games and they're saying it's the quarterback, he's the MVP, this and that. And then you get a ton, you wear the burden of, having to wear it when the team is unsuccessful. And he's had to do that a lot since joining the Arizona Cardinals after not losing a football game in high school and not losing a lot of games at Oklahoma and winning the Heisman Trophy, being drafted in 2 pro sports leagues. I mean, it was, I'm sure, a very sobering, maybe shocking acclamation to the next level and getting into an organization that was at the time very dysfunctional and had a lot of losing habits. Yeah. And only recently has this organization gotten on the right path and direction of ridding itself of those losing habits and developing winning habits. And it's not something that changes overnight. So the Cardinals in a really good position. In with that, Kyler Murray's in a really good position to have a good year in 2025. And there's confidence now from us who cover this team, but also head coach, who a lot of people have faith in. If you like Gannon, Gannon has a strong conviction in Kyler Murray that he can be his franchise quarterback. What's your argument with that?
Gannon has been not given. That's not the right term. They have been afforded the opportunity to do whatever they want at whatever position they want. You think Michael Bidwell, with the state of where this franchise was, would have put a caveat that, hey, Monty, JG, like take a trade Isaiah Simmons for a ham sandwich, cut DeAndre Hopkins, but because I paid Kyler Murray and I want to save face, like you have to keep Kyler Murray by any means necessary. No, it was like try to make it work, and if not, no big deal. And if it works, great. And guess what? The latter happened because they had an infectious connection. Personalities, are adjacent to each other. Since the minute that you saw them embrace in that video, we talked to Kyler Murray's dad. They've been two peas in a pod, for lack of a better term. They are incredibly close on and off the field. John Gannon knows what the hellscape of most quarterback situations are in the NFL. And John Gannon's like, well, we've never really had a dominant defense, and we're acclimating a lot of young players. Maybe I wouldn't be very smart if I sold Kyler Murray off for 30 cents on a dollar to another team when we're finally ready to win. I mean, think about how dumb that would be. You're just like, hey, man, yeah, did he not give us everything that we needed last year in terms of like statistics and all that? Sure. But at the same time, what if we put Kyler Murray on a team with a dominant defense and budding star players, and he's in a third year of a system? What do you think could happen then? I don't know. Everybody remember third year under Cliff Kingsbury? He was the MVP of the NFL before he got hurt. Easily the MVP of the NFL. So I think it's pretty easy to see, like Jared Goff, reclamation project, unbelievable now. Baker Mayfield, reclamation project, works out. Why can't that be Kyler Murray this year? Of course it can't be.
Yeah, same age as Sam Darnold. Darnold goes off for 35 touchdowns after he was an NFL afterthought.
Yeah.
Parlays that into a decent contract with the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see, what happens with the future is for both those quarterbacks. And it's going to come down to, and a lot of people, including the quarterback himself, to producing this season and leading the Cardinals back to the playoffs. And that's, then they'd like to maybe reopen the conversation about who he is, what he is, and what his future is here in the desert.
It's just like this comment from Ozzy. It's like, yeah, he was a winner his entire life before he got drafted by a franchise. Fair or not, that has the longest championship drought in pro sports. He was drafted by Steve Keim. His head coach had never been a winner at the collegiate level, and he had never been an NFL coach. That's what Kyler Murray inherited. Kyler Murray is the last man standing of that trio. Now, if you want to say, like, we can't get it done with Gannon and Ossenfort, and we're sitting here next year, we'll have that conversation. We'll have it all year if it's necessary. But I just take a step back and think about what he inherited as a franchise. I love this franchise. This franchise has so many flaws historically. And I've seen great players leave here, Thomas Jones and Garrison Hurst, and, passing on Terrell Suggs and Simeon Rice. Like, there's Anquan Bolden wins the Super Bowl. Cardinals trade him away for a third rounder. It's like, guys, let's be fair for a second. He's not a perfect player, but man, oh man, the Cardinals could do so much worse. Do not let him leave and go to a franchise. Like, what happened? Does anybody think if he went to Minnesota, like if he was in Darnold's spot last year, would he not have a monster year? Of course he would have, if he was with a Kevin O'Connell. So I think the Cardinals certainly know that, and they're planning accordingly. And I think I just don't know how they aren't a productive winning team this year outside of injury. There's just too much going in their direction.
Could they add a player potentially between now and then that could help even more so? We talked about the defense, for 30 minutes. Could that defense get a little bit more help? Is it getting greedy now at this point? Because I did say, I like what's going on interior wise. Could they use some pass rush, help? Is still Trey Hendrickson making more headlines for the 20th consecutive week of the offseason.
Yes. Let's do a quick break, and we'll come back, and we will talk about Trey Hendrickson potentially holding out missing games. But first, I want to tell you about our friends at All Pro Shades Concepts. Extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning, hundreds of designs and colors to choose from. They can work with your HOA. They can work with you. Of course, they can. Motorize, retract with remote control LED lighting to light up your patio, friends. Roll down patio shades, block the sun, keep the patio up to 20 degrees cooler. They've got everything and anything under the sun, over the sun, in between. They can replace and fix most outdated old patio shades and motorized awnings. Most trusted local company, voted #1 by ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024. BBB, triple B, A+ rating with 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. Licensed, bonded, and insured. It's allproshades.com. Give them a call for your free estimate, 623-204-1476, Bo Brock.
Some unhinged takes going on today in the chat, man. Everybody's crushing it there. Let's say this. Big news from Sanderson Ford. Ford announced from America for America employee pricing. What's that mean for you? Well, along with their no pressure, no nonsense, no hassle sales approach, there's no added markups. I mean, what you get is employee pricing now at Sanderson Ford. And also to go along with that is the Sanderson Ford Platinum 70th anniversary sale. Choose Sanderson Ford because they have the inventory and they're celebrating 70 years of treating you right. Now's the best time to buy a Ford from Sanderson Ford from America for America employee pricing. In celebration of their 70th anniversary, stop by and get a pair of tickets. See the Arizona Diamondbacks. No, they're struggling a little bit. Snakes, though, who doesn't want a free tickets to see the Snakes? No test drive required. Of course, the deal excludes 2025 Expedition, Super Duty, Raptor Family, Mustang, and Bronco specialty vehicles. 1 pair of tickets per household with valid driver's license to July 6th game to the Kansas City Royals visiting the Arizona Diamondbacks while supplies last on those 200 tickets. Sanderson Ford, for America, from America, employee pricing.
Big thanks to all of our partners here. Big thanks to everybody 300 plus in a chat on a sleepy little Thursday in the off season. Hit that like. I saw somebody say Gannon is the problem, you morons. Respectfully, seek help. Seek help right now. This franchise.
I saw somebody say we needed to keep Cliff.
Come on, guys. Come on. Can we not do this, please? This
gotta be. Yeah, it had to be some trolling. It gotta be some trolling. I'm sorry. We won't feed the trolls.
It is fun, though. We're having fun in an off season. You know who's not having a fun off season? It's Trey Hendrickson. Poor guy. Trying to be a good soldier. Yeah, we've all done this. We've worked at bad companies before, and you try to put on a brave face, but you know your leadership, not very smart, right? Making poor decisions. It doesn't matter how well you do, right? You just sabotaged by anything and everything involved, right? Thankfully, we work at PHNX Sports now. Everything's good. Trey Hendrickson, not so lucky, working for the fraud Cincinnati Bengals. His holdout continues. This is from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, who's been all over this story, saying that he is poised to sit out games if necessary. Is the all-pro pass rusher. Let me see. Let me pull this up here if I've got it on my end. Trey Hendrickson could be willing to miss games in even the entire 2025 season if his contract demands are not met, per Jeremy Fowler. He is, quote, extremely dug in on his demands. So I think, yeah, there it is. I think we're at the point where it's like, if you're Trey Hendrickson, it's a pride thing. I know it's a brotherhood in the NFL, but you watch 2 other players. T. Higgins is not the kind of player you are at your position. You led the NFL in sacks 35 in 2 years. And then you have the owner basically spit in your face, or an executive, I think it was the owner's daughter, basically saying he should be happy with the offer he's got. Yeah. And then you've got
fraud. How much money do you need?
Right. Yeah. Right. Fraud Zach Taylor calls him on the phone and is like, "You're going to be fined every day, mister."
Yeah. I think just a check-in text. Hey, by the way, if you don't show up, we're going to fine you. Oh, okay, cool. Good to hear from you, Zach. Thanks for checking in, bud.
Sorry to interrupt your Make-A-Wish at the local Cincinnati hospital, Trey, but you suck. Here's a fine. Nice franchise. I 100% think this is happening, and it really just it's gonna come down to like precedent setting. Because I never thought with Joe Burrow like pushing for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase that there was always going to be somebody left out. And I thought T. Higgins would probably be the odd man out. And the minute that Joe Burrow helped get T. Higgins done, I don't know if he knew this or not, directly or indirectly, I meant there's no money for Trey Hendrickson. There's no money left. And it's either going to be he plays on his current deal or he sits out and forces them to. You have to get ugly with this. Keep it in the media. Make it Jets 2.0 with Hassan Reddick. I think that helps them because that was such a disaster last year. And you saw a player who's willing to do that. Hassan Reddick walked so Trey Hendrickson could run. But I think Trey Hendrickson has much more cachet. He's a much better player. Listen, I know you're hesitant on sending a premium draft pick. I want to win playoff games. I want an NFC West championship. The Cardinals inquired before free agency. I would call and reinvigorate trade conversations.
Re-engage.
Re-engage.
I mean, my poor Johnny Venerable, Trey Hendrickson, I don't know how to quit you. That's where you're at right now. It's just going to be something that either is going to linger and keep you up at night, or the fact that somebody else aggressively goes out and gets him, or he's stuck in football purgatory on that Bengals organization. I mean, this is the difference between him and Hassan Reddick. He's not a season removed from 17.5 sacks. Last season he had 17.5 sacks to lead the NFL. And then before that, he had 17.5 sacks. He's playing an extremely high level. And he's not like, from our conversations with Mike Garafolo, who joined the show consistently leading up to the NFL draft, like, this is not a guy that wants to reset the market at the edge rusher position. He wants to get paid what he deserves. He wants the respect. He's not even halfway there as far as his 2025 salary to where guys like Max Crosby are. I mean, $40 million is the top pass rusher number right now with Myles Garrett and the funny money that they throw around in Cleveland just to keep people in that godforsaken team. But you've got Max Crosby making 35, who just got over 30. It was nothing. And then we still haven't seen what Micah Parsons is going to get. Like, just give this guy over $30 million for the next 2 seasons, and I think he'll be fine. But the Bengals refuse to operate like a decent organization.
The Bills signed that Greg Rosario, whatever his name is. That
Rizzo,
yeah, he's all right. He got a 4-year contract extension, $80 million, $54 million guaranteed. Does anybody know what that guy had last year in terms of sack production? I think he had like 8 sacks last year. He had 8 sacks last year. Now he's young. Yeah. He's 25. 8 sacks, $80 million. Trey Hendrickson's like, I had 17.5. The Bengals like, shut your mouth, Trey. You shut your mouth, Trey Hendrickson. Get away from us. Go back to the practice field. He's like, Lou Anarumo was a bum. He couldn't stop anybody. Cost us a playoff spot. And I shined despite that. Send Trey Hendrickson to Jonathan Gannon, please. What would let's put the package together right now.
Yeah.
It has to include a draft pick. Everybody in the chat, we're going to do it collectively. At least 1 draft pick and at least 1 player, a little sweetener. And I'm going to put a caveat on that. It can't be Jalen Thompson. We're all going to put a package together.
I already saw somebody package SMB. it was like the biggest collection of yard sale item players. It was like Bilal Nichols. Yeah.
All right.
People are like, can I interest you in? And hold on. Yeah. It was that meme. Like, oh, that sounds good. How about I'll give you an SMB, Bilal Nichols. Yeah. And we'll throw in a 4th round. Sorry, Rudy.
All right.
A for effort. Yeah.
All right. Here's the package. All right. A 2026 3rd round pick, which I know is already too sweet for you. I'm sorry. If the Cardinals make the playoffs, everyone, that pick is like in the 80s to 90s. Could we all just take a beat for a second? They've had infinite 3rd rounders. A 2026 3rd plus Dante Stills. That would be my offer to the Cincinnati Bengals. A disrupting defensive tackle who doesn't have a role right now because the Cardinals went nuts on the defensive line, ascending, most importantly, cheap, 2 years left on his rookie deal, handful of sacks, sell it to their fan base. Dante Stills and a 3rd for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. Do you think the Bengals are waiting before I give my own trade package? Do you think they're waiting until after June 1st?
To do what? trade
to
him?
deal. I mean, it feels like the Ramsey trade is gonna come next week after we get past 6-1. Like, is that something they're waiting to do any kind of
Maybe.
business?
Maybe. Like I don't know how the money offsets, and we'd have to look at over the cap, but I think I don't know. I think they're just pretty stubborn, and they're just like, you're gonna fall in line. What else? What choice do you have?
Yeah. All right. This is what I'm prepared to offer Cincinnati. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is coming from somebody that I'm willing to see this through with the players they have in place now. But if you're gonna say, hey,
you have to include a player.
Yeah. What's your deal? I would say I would go start with Xavier Thomas. I'll put him in there. Okay. I mean, he's not going to see the field. Probably might not
that's
see
a
the
great
field.
chip.
Yeah. And then I'll throw in one of those defensive linemen if you want to stay young. Yeah, let's go with Stills, and then I'll throw a 4th round pick in there.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's pretty comparable to my deal. You get a Xavier Thomas, who had a handful of sacks last year, Dante Stills, both you could make an argument would vie for starting time on the Bengals defensive line.
Yeah.
And a 4th, sign up for that deal right now too.
Yeah. I want to send them some beans too. They need some beans in their chili in Cincinnati. I think they need that because right now it's just meat sauce.
I got to bring
That's
the
what
super
Skyline's
chat.
all about.
Johnny would scam a Make-A-Wish child. Confirmed $2 super chat from Brian. Listen, it's like they're the Make-A-Wish child's like told by the Bengals, you're going to get Trey Hendrickson to come visit you. And instead it's like one of their executives like, sorry, no. Trey couldn't make it. We had to trade him today. And the kids are like, you stink. You stink, Bengals. No, we would
got
still
the mascot.
Yeah, here we go.
Right? Yeah.
We got Barry the Bengal.
Damon, do you have a package
for the jungle, baby? Yeah.
Do you have a package for the Bengals?
Trying to find a way we could like flip DeMercado, maybe. I think they could use a little bit extra running back help in Cincinnati.
It would be like, my job, I'm turning in my security pass if you trade DeMercado. I'm not showing up for work tomorrow if you do that.
Maybe Tip Ryman. I think that Tip Ryman gets a Petzing, handing in his resignation on the spot.
You just want to rid yourself of all the people who brought you pain last year, pain and suffering.
I would trade a 3rd for sure.
Here's their defensive line right now. Shamar Stewart, you would assume, is going to start at left defensive end. BJ Hill, starter D tackle. TJ Slayton is another starter at defensive tackle. Both those guys are not great. And then you've got Trey Hendrickson. The backups are Joseph Asaye, 5 sacks, middling. Jackson McKinley Jackson, I should say. Chris Jenkins Jr., Miles Murphy. I mean, you're starting.
McKinley Jackson was a 24 pick, right? He was a guy at A&M.
Yep.
And then Miles Murphy he's done nothing. He's a Clemson guy, one of those guys that came from Clemson that just did nothing at the
first round in 2023. He's a bust. You're 2 years into the NFL. You can't sack the quarterback. Last year, you're a bust. You're a huge bust. Yeah. Dante Stills, Xavier Thomas, and a pick. I think I like your deal more than mine because you've been pretty staunch to the idea that Xavier Thomas got a real tough time making this team. Mm-hmm. And then Dante Stills is, I think, going to battle and hopefully make this team. But Dante Stills isn't making it to the practice squad. So those are our packages. Cincinnati, take it or leave it. We all know it's not the package. It's the deal that the Cardinals would then have to give Trey Hendrickson. That's where. And that the conversation that they had was before they signed Sweaty J, Josh Sweat, before they gave Josh Sweat, I don't know, 60.
What do the expectations become though? If you get a player like Trey Hendrickson,
just Super Bowl, you start playing Super Bowl parades. You start doing really dumb, irresponsible stuff that only this podcast can support. I think you're talking about a defense that is breaking people in half. Matthew Stafford, put him in the dirt, and this is your division in 2025.
Yeah. No, I mean that's it sobers up a lot of the national media too, who've kind of been very lax as far as they're paying attention to the Arizona Cardinals. Like it wakes people up. It puts the Cardinals on the radar, and I think it puts the Cardinals firmly in contention to a broader audience for the NFC West.
I'll make a prediction. If they got Trey Hendrickson to the current group they had, it's the best defensive line in the NFL. You have what could have been the Super Bowl MVP. You have the 2024 leader in sacks. Okay. So the best player rushing the passer in the Super Bowl at the end and the best player rushing the passer in the regular season. You have 2 first-round defensive tackles in each of the last 2 years who are poised to be backups, at least initially. Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson. Then you've got Ojulari, Burke, Browning, Zaven Collins is depth. It's the best collection of defensive linemen in the NFL. There's not a defensive line I would trade for it. How about that? Over that collection of players. How about those pom-poms on this Fanboy podcast? Your Super Chats coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. But first, we're staying cool with a ton of our partners today and looking cool as well with our friends at Branded Bills. How about this hat right here? Gifted to me by one Trey McBride. You rep Branded Bills. You can too. 20% off your first order at brandedbills.com, or you can shop the campus collection with our friends, at gophnx.com, the merchandise locker. But regardless, elevate your brand with Branded Bills. Snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, tees, and more. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear money can buy. They've got partnerships, as we mentioned, with ASU, U of A, and PHNX Sports, locally owned and operated out of Mesa, Arizona. Branded Bills, promo code PHNX. These are your premier hats. I will never wear another hat, bar none. I have graduated from all of the wannabes of hat wear, and this is where I reside right now. I've got so many different colors, so many different flavors, if you will, with our friends at Branded Bills. I even look good if you're turning around like this. How about that? I don't look like a dad at all. Look like a cool guy. How about Bo? Bo's repping part of our PHNX collection at gophnx.com because he was not gifted the hat from Trey McBride that he gets to sport. But you can sport one of these right now. Go phnx.com, brandedbills.com. Again, save 10% with the code BBPHNX.
I love it. Love that. That's you think that's how it really went down with the Trey McBride and the Brandon Bills hats. But I'll let you live that dream. Look, Empire today, unbelievable what's going on. You're trying to upgrade your flooring. You're looking for some carpeting, hardwood. Maybe you're looking for some tile. They got it all, and they got the professionals that are going to make it quick, easy, convenient to do said upgrade. And you got the virtual floor designer. All you need is a smartphone. You log on to empiretoday.com/PHNX, and you can look at what the new flooring would look like in your dwelling, your condo, your house, whatever it may be. Empire Today has got it for you, and they're going to get you in the best possible way to upgrade it and save some money while you're doing so. empiretoday.com/PHNX starts your journey with $350 off immediately. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because, look, things are just better when they're free and in-home. PHNX listeners can receive that $350 discount when using the promo code PHNX. Use that discount code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHNX for all the details.
Big thanks to our friends at Empire Today. Big thanks to all of our partners as we look into your Super Chats, and we are poised to go to OT. Meow, meow, meow. Check us out right now. Go phnx.com. Become a diehard. We welcome all of our friends on our streaming platforms over to YouTube as we've got 300 plus strong. But before we get to your Super Chats, James Conner, Bo, we didn't get to this yesterday, met with the media, and it seems like there's some rumblings as it relates to RB2 with the Arizona Cardinals with Trey Benson. What more can you tell us?
Not so much rumblings as far as like, is he a threat? Is it going to become more of a work share? But we hear about Marvin Harrison Jr. We see him physically. He's changed his body. So is Darius Robinson. How about the 66th overall pick in the same draft class in the 3rd round out of Florida State? Trey Benson. JC gives an update on his running back roommate.
Focus, just everything, his approach to it. Worked unbelievable in this offseason. You know, he just showed up every single day. You know, we're working out together, and he wants it. He wants it bad because he knows the type of player he can be, and we all know that. And so he's been working his butt off. You know, it's been awesome to see. He's super dedicated. Man, it's just from last year, you know, just approach to it, and you know, he's still growing. You know, he's young, so man, if you look at his body now, he was already, a freak athlete, before. But even now, just how he's working in that weight room and running, got a 1080 machine where we pulling a resistance sled. His numbers is just off the charts. So he's working hard, man. And that's, at the end of the day, got to be strong and conditioned. Strength and condition is a huge, part of the game. And so grown man out there now. So he's looking good. Focus.
He's all grown up. Trey Benson, like his teammates, his second-year draft classmates, putting in the work this offseason, putting up eye-popping numbers as far as pulling the sled, showing the strength as far as his lower half. You got a guy, James Conner, who, I think a lot with him, respect is earned. He's earned his respect. Call him a grown man out there. That's exciting. And I think Trey Benson, if he can get, stronger and maybe, a little bit quicker to find some rushing lanes, he's a guy that with some decent numbers in the limited playing time he saw in 2024. Let's bring up those stats, Damon. Over 300 yards from scrimmage. He had 63 carries for 291 yards and a couple catches, I think 6 catches for about nearly 60 yards, 350 from scrimmage. That's not bad in the limited time he saw.
And then you look at the trajectory of, I think it was like the last handful of games he played in 2024. He missed a little bit of time, didn't get a ton of carries, but like against the Patriots at the end of the year, had a really strong showing. Against the Seahawks, probably could have deserved, a little bit more run in that loss at home. Had 7.5 yards per clip. His best game of the year came against the Jets, 10 carries, 62 yards, and 2 catches, 25 yards. I think the tough part for Trey Benson, and I've been staunchly committed to this since seeing him in person last year, is that I think that in the ACC, remember all of his highlights? It was like one cut and go, and he would have tremendous speed at Florida State, on that Florida State team that went undefeated, right? He was a man among boys in that conference. I think he ran sub 4.4, did he not, at the combine? I have not seen. I have not seen that speed yet on display in the NFL. Doesn't mean he's slow, but like I expected him to be a little bit like of a burner that could take, a 20-yard carry to the house, right? And last year he got caught a couple times from behind. And again, did a tremendous job. Don't want to diminish what he did. My point in all this is that I think that, like James, Trey Benson, I don't know if we'll ever see the best of him until he gets the kind of workload that James gets. I think both of them benefit from what I call rhythm carries. Whereas how many times does James Conner at half have, 10 carries for 17 yards? And then he finishes the game with 25 carries or 22 carries and he's over 100 yards, right? And he has to get ramped up a little bit. I think Trey is the same way. I think he's much better in between and yards per contact, and very comparable in a lot of ways to James. Yeah. But I think the perfect compliment, maybe I'm sticking my foot in my mouth here, but like, I think the perfect compliment to James is what we saw with Michael Carter a couple of years ago. It was like, come in, manufacture yards, big explosives, catch the football. I think Trey could be the heir apparent to James. I just don't know when I'll see that kind of a leap until he gets the bulk of the work share.
Yeah, and I think things have changed drastically as far as how he projects and what his path to becoming an RB1 looks like. I mean, at this time last year, we're talking about, hey, this guy could get the keys to the running back room as early as now. Like as far as this upcoming season going into 2025, we thought it was going to be James Conner, and they were probably going to let him test free agency, but James Conner made himself undeniable, and it transcends even what he does on the playing field, even though he had his most productive season, nearly 1,500 yards from scrimmage last year, Conner did. Like Trey Benson's going to have to reinvent himself, because the notion was like he was going to be a high volume running back as early as year 2. And now he's going to have to show, hey, I can be productive when I'm kind of cold. I'm a guy that's going to be coming in different spots, and I'm not going to have the ability to get into rhythm and get those carries and find his legs there. So if he can do, I think it's probably just going to benefit him more so down the road, but he's not going to have like that luxury of hey, here's the keys to the offense. Here's the carries. Just get going, and you'll find yourself, a couple games in the season.
I think another difficult aspect of this is we joke about it. Like Amari DiMercato, does anybody know what he averaged per carry last year? Granted, it was only 24 carries. 9.3 yards per clip for DiMercato last year. And so, like, they have plenty of guys.
How many
that
carries
I think
did he have? He had a 50-yard carry.
He had 24 carries last year.
Yeah, he had a 50-yard carry.
I would like to subtract that one and know what the answer is.
Okay,
I just
do it real quick. What was it? What was his total yardage, Johnny?
All right, so if we do the math, he had 24 carries. So if you reduce it to 23, then he had 223 minus his long of the year was 53. So it's 170 divided by 23. It's still 7.4 yards per carry. That's still really good.
That's what happens when it's 3rd and 24 and you get to carry the football.
Damon, you are so right. Damon, there's that U of A big brain master's degree. The point is the Cardinals have, I think, a lot of guys that comp similar to each other, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a dogfight because Petzing clearly loves DiMercato. We were standing there with Matthew Berry of now NBC Sports.
Fantasy Life, right?
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yeah. Formerly of ESPN. There's a super nice guy, Matthew Berry. And I think
big time
crybaby
about David Johnson way back when.
We put that to bed. He's always been good to this show. And we were at the combine, and he asked Gannon a question about Trey Benson. Gannon lauded Trey Benson like he does about most players, because I think there was a lot of national pub, and we tried to reduce that initially. That Trey Benson was like just going to be the number one back last year. It's like no, they love James Conner clearly, and I think there's people nationally still trying to cope with like Cardinals took a 3rd round back. They're top 5 in rushing, and is he ever going to be the guy? I sitting here on May 29th, like, I don't know if he'll ever be the guy. James Conner got a 2-year contract. Now it's essentially year to year, but I'm not betting against number 6. Number 6 is going to have a chance to go down as one of the best, free agent signings this team's ever had.
Well, and that's the uniqueness of the situation, because I think Matthew Berry was just following the trends of the NFL. And typically it is.
Yeah.
You've got a veteran back. Team drafts a back. And they slowly work out the veteran running back. And he's been, the bell cow has put out the pasture. Mm-hmm. And then the new bull's in there and it's taking up all the carries. And he's the new he's the new fantasy darling in Matthew Berry's world. And it happens so often. But James Conner, and I think the only other guy that's really done this that's aged just well, not nearly on the same level as Derrick Henry, but similarly where like the team's willing to invest in him and continue to give him high volume carries and him be the vocal point of the running game, where before, like most, like I would say the majority of the NFL is more geared up towards what people expected Trey Benson's, I guess, welcome to the NFL was. Instead, it was very different.
Yeah. To me, Trey Benson, worth the draft pick, but I think it would take a James Conner injury. James Conner is undeniable when he's healthy. It will until he shows he's lost a step. And power backs age very well in the NFL. And James Conner was never, until the latter stages of his career with Pittsburgh, the guy. And he's never really been asked to carry an offense. He's the perfect back for Kyler Murray. And so, he's one of the heartbeats of this team. So Trey Benson's going to have to your point, Bo, hey, you're getting 5 touches today. You got to manufacture a couple first downs out of them. It's a tall task. I don't envy it. Drop a like on this video. We got
Benson,
6. Go ahead.
Benson's he's listed at 10 pounds lighter than James Conner. Conner's at 233. Benson's at 223. If Benson, according to James, if he bulked up, let's give him, conservatively like 5 pounds. I mean, that's a step in the right direction. I mean, he's 6'1", could be pushing close to 230. That'd be a good weight to throw some defenders around with.
They are comparable. As many as people, I thought they were going to do some thunder and lightning because of how fast his 40 time is. It's another James Conner kind of player, but there's only one JC. Ryan Walker, $5. R.I.P. Coco. Giving a nice shout out to Shaft's dog who passed away. We appreciate that, Ryan. We echo those sentiments. R.I.P. and big thoughts and prayers with Shaft and his family. It's always tough to lose a pet, no matter the age or the type of animal, Bo.
Yeah, appreciate that, Ryan. That's very cool of you to make a super chat out of it to support our guy Shaft and his family.
What a family we have here.
Oh man, love it. I love it that we can hopefully ease things for Shaft, who's going through some tough times, losing his pup. Brian, BA, what's going on, my guy? Limit mistakes this year, like Johnny and Indy. And he spelled mistakes, but didn't have the but he didn't have the right stake. Still, look, BA, I give you points for that. I like that.
It's very clever. Brian's a clever guy.
He didn't limit his steaks in Indy. He ate the same size steak. I'll give him credit. He just limited the apps and the bread.
Yeah, like I saw Damon. Damon gets big mashed potatoes, loads up on sides, and then their attention immediately, like a pack of wolves. The minute I finished my food,
it was gross, Johnny. I agree with you.
Phone out like a sicko. Adam Schefter's right behind us. Bo and Shane immediately turn their attention to it's time to belittle Damon because Damon.
I forgot about that. I forgot that Johnny sullied his proud moment when he finished his steak. His plate is empty, and he goes, Shane's taking the picture, and he says, "Make sure to get Schefter in it."
I didn't
and
say
Schefter, like, his antenna went up, and he said, "What? Somebody's creeping on me."
The way like a prairie dog like flips their head. That's how Adam Schefter.
What was worse, that or when I tried to wave over Puka Nacua at that Super Bowl
Puka
party?
by far
the Puka Nacua thing.
That was one of the worst moments I think of Damon's life is when I did that in front of him. Couldn't have been uncooler. Tried to wave over Puka Nacua, who had no interest in doing that. I think he abruptly left the party after that happened.
Has anybody ever waved over Puka? Like, I don't think Stafford even waves him in the huddle. He gives him that much respect. He understands that, like, nobody does that to Puka.
Johnny, when it comes to befriending NFL wide receivers, is just not really on a good trajectory right now.
No.
Wayne, Terrell Owens, as we'll emphasize, and of course Puka Nacua. We're 0 for 3 right now, Johnny.
We are.
Frank Sanders, though.
Frank Sanders and I are very close.
1 for 4.
Michael Wilson. Mike. I don't think Mike knew any better. He immediately got to the Cardinals and we're like, Mike, you're coming on our show. He's like, oh yeah, these guys seem cool. So
big mistake on his part.
Marv's like, we're gonna have to wait it out with our guy MHJ.
When Bo and Mike and I went to Chili's without Johnny, he actually was talking about how much better the experience was. The fact that we didn't invite you.
That's hurtful and rude. Schleim and Schlag, $2. When we all do a group live together, woof. We do live at the draft party, Schleim and Schlag. We all did it together.
It was a proud moment. Really enjoyed it. I think it lives on our social media.
I think he's asking about the Johnny live to start the show where he's saying a Bo, Damon, and Johnny together in unison scream live together.
I'm not interested in doing that. No, I think it's just me. But I appreciate the feedback and
K2 asking where's BG? Where's Britton Golden? You've made a fool of yourself in front of BG plenty of times, and you'll do it plenty of times this fall.
So we've discovered Johnny can be friends with NFL wide receivers as long as they're also being paid by the same company that Johnny is being paid by.
They put up with my shenanigans. The minute they're off the payroll, they're like, "Don't talk, lose my number, never text me again." Unlike Trey and I, it's like I had to sell my soul with every other receiver so that the best tight end in the NFL and I could become very close to this day.
I think Tony's run his course here, Damon. Let's be respectful, Tony. We've got another super chat. Bees, $2. Trey McBride, Trey Benson, Trey Hendrickson. Ooh, somebody help me out here.
Trey Day.
Was it? Trey Emverett. All right. Nice job, Damon. I was never going to get there. Bees, $2.
Have we debunked the JV steak tape AI VFX? Incorrect. I ate it, and I was a full boy afterward. It was a 14-ounce steak, porterhouse, with very little next to it. I ate my shrimp cocktail, which also, for whatever reason, if you're a member of our Discord, it had to be filmed. It's like, hey, I'm here to eat a steak. It's like, we're going to take video of you in every bite, every uncomfortable angle after you just worked Radio Row all day. Appreciate it. Notice we never give Bo a hard time when we're on location. Yet I'm on a cot, and I always get a camera in my face. And sometimes it's just like, enough is enough, guys. Enough is enough. Think about it. This time last year, we were prepping for the 9-9-9 challenge on this show. And I had my co-host and my producer set the over-under for me at the 9.99.
Did we set that?
Yes, at 3.5.
I did.
You did.
3.5.
I'll put my hand up and say that the powers that be, being the guy that makes the graphics, did set the line there.
That was so rude and hurtful. And listen, like, whether it's the steak or the 9.99 challenge, had I not completed them, I'd hear about it to the end of Kingdom Come. I completed them, and they never get brought up. So
you remind us every day.
Never.
I would say you've got a daily streak right now where you remind us about what you've done, what you've accomplished.
The steak thing is take it or leave it, whatever. The ridicule that I got daily, we talk about like the Prius stuff being out of control. The 9-9-9 Discord last year was so violent in terms of like me basically people thought I'd finish like a hot dog and a half and be done. I went the distance with these jabronis, and you don't hear a peep about it. I should have had a coronation down, Fifth Avenue in Phoenix. That should have been me on a parade and a float, but never hear about it.
That's a bit much, don't you think? Our guy BA think putting it well. Imagine Johnny's therapist having to talk about steaks, mocha drinks, and small hands to him. R.I.P.
Well paid. Absolutely.
I feel like with Johnny, when it comes to his downfalls, like the steak, like the mocha, we bring it up so much because like there's a situation where, we lose a little bit of hot water at our Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And how does Johnny intro the show, the live show, 6 hours later? Well, I couldn't get a hot shower this morning. Bo used all the hot water, so I don't know what you expect from me.
After I slept in a big, comfortable bed that I ended up giving to Johnny, and I was able to troubleshoot the bed that he'd been sleeping on all week, and I was fine.
Not to mention, for previous trips, you oftentimes take the
well, and that's why I wanted to take
it, but the brunt.
Yeah. That's why I wanted Bo to be able to have a private room this year, and then we busted out that cot, and it literally, you sucked it up for a night. I was on it for multiple nights. It was just, and there was no hot water. It's just that we need to find a better setup.
Who gets off scot-free in all this is Shane. Like Shane, him in the big comfortable bed, it's never questioned. But Johnny gets one bad sleep night, and he's coming to me and saying, "Hey, will you give me your bed?"
We all know the guy who's just the biggest of the group in terms of like stature, and it's no questions asked. Like, I'm taking this is mine, and it's unquestioned. That's Shane. Yeah. I'm taking the aisle seat. I'm taking the front seat. I'm taking this room. It's mine. Nobody question it. It's just assume Johnny get in the middle seat. Johnny ride, in the back seat of the Uber. And I'm just like, no problem. Happy to help. Happy to help. Starts with a B. The B word. Drop a like on this video. What a team we have here. Big show tomorrow. Programming note tomorrow. You want to tune in. Got a special show announcement. Yeah. It's going to be an emotional one. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah, talking about all these good times, and we got some big news tomorrow that we can tie all together. Absolutely, but all you guys are doing great. Johnny middle seat. Look, Johnny he calls it. Like most people are calling shotgun. Johnny's calling middle seat. That's what he's doing. That's the kind of just humble podcaster we have here.
Do you guys, can you roll down the window? It's a little hot here in the middle seat. Can you guys help me out here, please? Hey, excuse me, Mr. Uber driver. Can you turn on the air?
Nick, we love you, man. Thank you for the love. Says he loves the show. Talk to you later, Midwest Mike, Bees, Jess, everybody. Everybody have a great night. We'll talk to you on a Friday edition tomorrow, right here, 4:30, PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.